Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and we got a lot going on in XRP land today. First I wanted to show you this. Uphold looks like they're launching, I think in December, starting in select areas. Uphold's launching asset-backed loans. You'll be able to borrow against your XRP plus ETH, Bitcoin, and USDC. This is in December, it looks like. And I think in the US it's only Florida to start with. Look. When the price is a lot higher and there's a lot more liquidity in these markets and we've got legislation and there's a lot of utility, I'm going to start being very interested in things like this. But as I keep telling you, I've got my XRP in the meantime parked in free institutional custody, in part at iTrustCapital, my partner. You can go to iTrustCapital.com/XRP Army. You can open an IRA or premium custody, and you get free institutional custody with both. And you can also get a promo code to open an account, $100 funding bonus. Go check it out. The market's kind of blah this morning at 3.72 trillion, a 254 XRP. I might back up the truck here if it stays right there. I want to remind everybody, Mr. B XRP, this guy's been in crypto about as long as I have been. He was very active, 5 years ago, and he came back. So now he's on X again. And for those of you that don't follow him, it's at XRP Mister, and he's also posting YouTube videos now. Very smart guy, and he's been around a long time, knows a lot. A friend of mine. You can go to Mr. B XRP and hit subscribe to his channel as well. Worth watching. Check this out. This is a guy, Luke Judges. I think it's Luke Judges. Cool name. He works at Ripple in what's his title? Global Partnerships. That's some nice volume you got there. It would be a shame if the king came and beat it. He's talking about Solana volume. Grown Men Will Weep, XRP. And then this was another interesting tweet. Remember when Dom from Easy A tweeted that billions are cool, but trillions are cooler? I'll show you what that's a reference to in the group today, by the way. It's from a movie many of you have seen. History is repeating itself, and I'll show it to you. But I retweeted, this is a tweet from Luke Judges. Hidden Road migrating post-trade settlement to XRPL to enable clearance of trillions of dollar flows at fractions of a cent is not accounted for in any model. Folks, history is repeating itself right now, and I'll show you in the group what I mean by that. Trillions, not billions. And then Vet sums it up perfectly. Use it to your advantage that literally 99% on here have done no research on XRP. They don't understand it. They're confused. Their gut feeling tells them to pay attention, so they seemingly try very hard. It's glorious. What a time to be alive. And I said perfectly describes all the Bitcoin maxis watching Ripple putting the infrastructure chess pieces in place. They should listen to that sinking feeling in their gut right now. Yes, yes, yes. Bitcoin Telegraph apparently is having that sinking feeling and realizing what's going on. They said, will this make XRP the next go-to reserve for companies? And then, of course, after all of the trade war fear that's been put out there, Trump's at the table with President Xi of China, and they're working out a trade deal. I think they have announced a one-year trade deal.
If you think about it, the very, very distinguished and respected president of China, and we will be having some discussions. I think we've already agreed to a lot of things, and we'll agree to some more right now. But President Xi is a great leader of a great country, and I think we're going to have a fantastic relationship for a long period of time, and it's an honor to have you with us. Thank you very much.
All right, and then we had Brad Garlinghouse on stage at a thing, I guess it's in the UAE or something. He was on stage with Tom Lee, who's been doing the Ethereum Roadshow on CNBC for the last 2 or 3 months. You got to understand, Tom Lee is ex-JP Morgan. He is a part of the VC pump gang cabal that hates Ripple and XRP and has for years. Either won't talk about it or acts like they don't understand it. This was one awkward thing on stage because Tom Lee went around and he really talked up all of these people on stage that were Bitcoin or Ethereum type people, and then he totally downplayed Brad Garlinghouse. It's obviously awkward.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. I'm very excited to be hosting this panel. We've got a very illustrious group of individuals here, and we are tackling the topic of, is there a global consensus in crypto? So before I even level set and set the stage for a conversation, I just want to introduce who's actually in this panel. So to my left is Jeremy Allaire, the CEO of Circle, which went public this year. It is the stablecoin provider USDC, but what's really notable is Circle's IPO really opened the US capital markets, and it has now led to a flood of tech IPOs.
Okay, so he really talked up Jeremy Allaire.
Dr. Saifuddin Amoun is a very well-known author, the author of the Bitcoin Standard, and is a very published author and has a lot of important views around Bitcoin.
So he really builds up the Bitcoin guy.
We have Brad Garlinghouse, the CEO of Ripple, who also recently just got married.
So all he says is he's the CEO of Ripple, and he recently got married when it gets to Brad Garlinghouse.
So congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And we have Ricardo Salinas, who's the CEO of Salinas Group, a huge Mexican conglomerate, very successful entrepreneur, and very famously made a very large personal bet on Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So all those guys get high praise. Brad Garlinghouse gets that he's the CEO of Ripple and he just got married. And it became pretty obvious. Black Swan Capitalist nailed it right here. Brad Garlinghouse just reminded everyone the era of speculation is ending. Bitcoin sold a story. Utility built XRP. Once clarity hits, only real use cases survive. They hate Ripple and XRP.
You're demonstrating that we don't
Rightfully so.
have a global consensus about crypto. Even in this conversation, and I agree that it still is early, partly because there is not a global consensus about some of these things.
Agreed.
And I think some of the
Right, because what he's really saying is because that you tried the regulatory capture of XRP and you failed. And Bitcoin's had a fake regulatory monopoly with Ethereum for a good part of that time for the last decade.
use cases, we're still extremely early in terms of scaled use cases. Circle is certainly one example that has started to have a scaled use case around a stablecoin. But I think the crypto industry, I agree, the next 16 years, I think will be better than the last 16 years because you'll finally see applications emerging that up until now have just been the store of value story or speculation.
Yeah, just a made up narrative. Now, this is the whole, or the 12-minute clip if you want to go to Bank XRP and watch it. But Tom Lee does the same thing in there where everybody else, is more focused on. Little reminder who Tom Lee is. This is from CNBC. I put this out in 2022.
And we're going to end this with Ripple versus Bitcoin Cash.
I'd pick Bitcoin Cash over Ripple because, I think in some ways Bitcoin Cash has some unique features relative to Bitcoin, so there's some merits to owning it.
Okay, in other words, there's no merits to owning XRP. And this is Tom Lee. Now, this is when I got blocked from Tom Lee. This is back in 2021. I said my spidey senses are going off. CNBC has been in the tank for Bitcoin and Ethereum for over 3 years. This is from May 21st, 2018, a month before the Hinman speech. I wonder if CNBC had already seen copies of that Hinman speech going around. I wonder if Tom Lee, ex-JP Morgan, also knew. Listen to this clip.
What on the regulatory front disappointed you? Why was it more negative?
I think we need to be nuanced here. It's if we look at regulatory, we don't want to simply look at what we expect them to announce. I don't think that's was going to be expected, but it was really understanding how people were shaping their views around regulatory, or how they would interpret incremental data or the lack of incremental data. And, you know,
is there an example that you can give us? Just, I mean, it sounds a little squishy. I mean, are you talking about things like whether or not Ethereum is a security or
well, I'll give you some examples of the kind
or
of sidebar conversations that were taking place. One is that, you know, CME, it's great that they're going to have another contract for another cryptocurrency for Ethereum. And the fact that when they finally turn on live is clearly, in some ways, a signal that Ethereum is likely to be viewed as a utility token. So in other words, there's going to be signal in the sense that if CME is actually, when they go live with this contract, it's actually something else. But
all right. Then we've got this. Excuse me. XRP Army will smash buy the ETF, says spotty XRP ETF will easily become $1 billion fund within the first few months. Flows will dramatically exceed what people are expecting. Agree. That's from Nate Garachi, one of the ETF guys. Okay, we're going to go in DAIXRP.com. That's the Patreon. If you'd rather join through YouTube, click join button below any of these videos, or you can hit subscribe through X to join. We do the full video plus the extended video with no commercials. And today I'm going to show you how history is repeating itself. I'm going to remind you of how big all this really is. I'm a digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, tell your friends and family. Away we go.